Hi all, this is day 80 of my GATE CS prep journey. So I was learning like folk lecture or folk concept, you can say, and very first example I learned and I was trying to explain myself, understanding the concept. Um, I got few doubts and I asked Claude, okay, so like if you see this example, it's basic parent child detection. So like the concept of fork it creates. Let me scroll here and show the let's go from start. Fork is system call used to create new process and it create exact replica that is identical copy of the calling process. Original process is parent, newly created is child. Both get their own separate address space, logical virtual memory you can call this. Create exact same copy of calling process. Both parent child start executing after the fork line. Some integer to both process, zero to the child process. So these are some basic, like what is fork. Basically, it creates a replica of the original process. And through this example, what they are saying, like basic parent child detection, through this example they are like explaining uh, parent child, because of course fork creates replica of original process that is called like parent, because it's original process, that's why it's called parent and child. So I have taken the example, copied on Excalibur and like made this kind of diagram and explain myself. So this is original, which is parent, and output would be I am parent with PID 17800, and the child one same replica would create, and output would be I am child. I'm going back to Claude to show what I've asked. Like I've given the same example to the Claude and I asked to explain to me. um so this is the example I gave, and first of course because of fork line it creates child process and PID, so process ID. Okay, let me scroll down. I might have asked what is process ID. If PID number is child actual process, okay, that's not. So why PID is because there are two process, right? To identify, I think the latest question I have asked is the same. PID needed because there are two process. So why PID needed is because after fork, two identical processes are running the same code. Without PID, both processes are identical. So to identify which is parent, which is child. So without process ID, there would be no identification for those process. Both do the same thing, so no way to separate them. With PID, we can differentiate. Only child comes here, and only parent come here. Think after fork, two identical twins are born. How to identify who is who? One line, PID is needed to differentiate parent and child after fork. So that's why PID is used. Very basic. I think I have asked the latest one. So we got to know why PID is needed. So let's go back to example. So with this line, it creates child process, and to child, when PID is 0, it's a child process. So it's like set by OS only. So 0 is not any value, it's just signal given by OS to tell that it's a child process. There would be original PID number which is given to parent process to identify which is child process, so parent can manage them. So else this is run in parent only. Why PID 0 means child. Parent gets actual PID number of child 17800. That's what I have explained. Gets 0. So it can identify itself as a child 0. That's why. How output comes after fork is called parent. PID with 17800 and it prints I am parent with child ID. For parent, not for child. For child, it would be like only I am child with PID equal to 0. So they have mentioned this like why parent printed first. there is nothing like they have mentioned parent runs slightly faster than child in most cases, but actually that's not the case. Anything can come first, child can also comes first. It really depends on the scheduling algorithm that we might be seeing later in the operating system, like first come first, so round robin. There are like a lot of these scheduling algorithms. So based on this, process would come first and output would be coming, like it's not parent would come first, that's not the case. um by So this is if PID number is child's actual process ID, then why is printing with parent? So I had this doubt. If PID is a number, PID number is child's actual process ID, then why parent is printing? So when fork is called, both parent child get copy of PID variable but with different values. So once fork is called, both the parent and child gets a copy of PID variable, that is that PID number, but with different values. You can see parent get 17800, child get 0, meaning I'm child, and child's actual ID is 17800 with parent. Why does parent get child PID? To manage the child process, basically wait for a child to finish, kill the child, and tracks the child. So to parent can manage, control the child. This is real time example they have given. So basically the child actual PID of child process, which is 17800 with parent, because a parent can manage the child process. That's why it's with parent. Parent prints child's PID because OS gives child's PID to parent. One line. And PID for child is always 0. Yes, for child the process ID would be 0 always. 0 is as signal to tell the process that you're child. That's the reason why it's 0. They have mentioned like if it is 0 then it's child, if it is greater than 0 then it's parent, and less than 0 then fork, something went wrong. So that's the meaning of 0 signal. Real PID, this is given to parent that I have asked, and so this is the just 0 just signal for a child to say like you're the child process. Parent needs real PID to control, track, or kill the child. That's why it's with parent. If child want to know its own real PID, that's not the get PID. You can ask this. And again, the latest question that I've asked, like PID needed to identify what is parent and what is child process. I think that's all for this example. You can go to Excalibur, and that's how I made myself understand. This was basic example of parent and child detection, very basic but important. And you can see I have taken parent, and in output it is coming with PID of child, but sequence can be anything. It really depends on the scheduling algorithm that CPU use. So yeah, that's the first example of fork. I'm going to explain the rest of all also. I just got time before my class to start, so I thought to record it. Thank you all for watching. Hope you get some help from this example to understand parent and child process, what is PID, what happens actually after fork executes, and there is no sequence which one would execute first. So that's all for this example. I think I've covered everything regarding this.